This is the Bible and Homosexuality series, Episode 1, Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm your host, Elton Sherwin. No story has had a greater influence on the Christian condemnation of homosexuals than the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Let me summarize the beginning of Genesis 19. Two foreigners arrive in Sodom. They are angels disguised as foreigners. Lot, the servant of the Lord, insists that they stay at his house and not sleep in the town square. We continue in Scripture.
From Genesis, chapter 19, verses 4 and 5. All the men, from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them."
The story ends badly for Sodom. The angels save Lot and some of his relatives, and then God destroys the city. What was God's message? Is it the condemnation of mob violence and gang rape? Of course. But there were additional reasons God was angry with Sodom, and the prophet Ezekiel tells us.
Sodom's sins were pride, gluttony, and laziness, while the poor and needy suffered outside her door. Ezekiel 16:49.
Let's listen to that again.
Sodom's sins were pride, gluttony, and laziness, while the poor and needy suffered outside her door.
Where are all the gay guys? Wait, where's the sodomy? Where are all the homosexuals? Not there. This is a story about mob violence, attempted gang rape, and the poor treatment of foreigners. No gay guys in it. Wow. Here I quote from theologian Derrick Sherwin Bailey, not a relative as far as I know, even though his middle name, Sherwin, is my family name. This is from his 1955 classic,
Homosexuality, and the Western Christian Tradition. There is not the least reason to believe, as a matter of either historical fact, or of revealed truth, that the city of Sodom and its neighbors were destroyed because of their homosexual practices.
Wow. Let's listen to that one more time.
There is not the least reason to believe, as a matter of either historical fact, or of revealed truth, that the city of Sodom and its neighbors were destroyed because of their homosexual practices.
From theologian Derrick Sherwin Bailey. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is the first of what are now called the clobber verses, 7 scriptures used to condemn the LGBTQ community. When speaking of homosexuals, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is Christianity's original sin, a story misused so frequently and so confidently that it is embedded in our language, except it has nothing to do with consensual homosexual relationships. Genesis 19 tells of the inhospitable treatment of foreign visitors, the disguised angels, by the men of Sodom, and the attempted gang rape of these foreign visitors. In the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, we learn that God dislikes pride, excessive consumption or gluttony, inattentiveness to the poor and the needy, and hostility to the foreigner. These are all sins that we should be mindful of in our current age.
Sodom's sins were pride, gluttony, and laziness, while the poor and needy suffered outside her door.
The story of Sodom and Gomorrah has been used by conservative churches to condemn homosexual men and women, forbid same-sex marriages, and prevent members of the LGBTQ community from being ordained, even though the story has nothing to do with consensual homosexual relationships. Why have so many conservative churches gotten it so wrong? Perhaps because a truthful accounting would hit too close to home. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is the story of God's vengeance on a wealthy city which ignored the poor and the needy, a wealthy city that made a sport of abusing foreigners. Is there an even deeper meaning to this story? A message specifically for the LGBTQ community? The Reverend Dave Barnhart thinks there is, and we will review that in episode 3. Next up, in episode 2, we discuss the murder of the Levite's concubine, the second clobber verse. Then, in episode number 3, we will search for a deeper meaning in these 2 clobber verses. I look forward to seeing you next time. This is Elton Sherwin.